Yeah, bragging rights. Here we go again. It's always an exciting game coming off of some extended practice time, which is always a plus for this group. Trying to get better defensively. We've spent a good amount of time getting back to our basic fundamental things on that side of the court. Feel like we've been doing some very positive things offensively. Had a great OER. I think we were 60-2 going into the Nebraska game when we have a 1.2 OER or better. It's now 60-3, and we've got to do a much better job of the little detail things on the defensive side, communicating, taking scouting report. We didn't play very well, and watching film, it was maybe as poor a game as we've played in a while. Just attention to detail, attention to scouting report, and then you put a very, very good Nebraska team out there, and they exploited us, and give them all the credit. But get a Missouri team that's obviously won a ton of games. Dennis does a great job. They mix up defenses. They're very efficient offensively. They're a team that lives in transition. They live in downhill scenarios. Mark Mitchell's a player that is living at the foul line, and a guy that can really hurt you in the open court. Phillips is playing well in the middle. And then Robertson is a guy that's back and having to shoot 36-37% from the three. The Cruz kids coming off a heater in their last game made 6 of 8 from three. So they've got a nice balance on the offensive side. They mix up things defensively with their presses, man, zone. They kind of throw a lot at you, so you've got to handle those things. But expect the typical bragging rights, crowd, and hats off to McBride Homes for all of their support of this event, and obviously in a great place and great venue, and excited to be a part of it.
Talk about defensive, like we talked about the possibility for tweaks coming into this season. Where are you at with kind of exploring different tweaks and avenues defensively?
Yeah, if we do what we're doing, we're really good. We're just giving up. I told our team, I said 2 or 3 years ago when Casey Tominanga came in here, he had 31 and Rink had 24. It's no different than it was the other night. I had no problem with guys getting on heaters. One guy's not going to beat you. It's the fact that we're giving up the layups, the transition baskets, and that we're letting non-effective players beat us. Guys that Garcia has 10 in the last 10 minutes. That's just not paying attention to scouting report. That's little detail things that we haven't done, but we did in that game. And it's Bruce Thornton goes, he's a terrific player. Guys are going to go on heaters. I don't care 2 licks about those. It's the shots they take and whether they're contested or not. And yet we did a much better job in the Ohio State game, not letting other guys beat us. And we got beat by Nebraska, by Sam Hoiberg and Garcia and some of the other guys. It wasn't the heater. Now the heater bothered me just because of our lack of attentiveness to him, and gave him easy baskets. But if he's hitting hard shots, the first shot of the game he hit was a hard shot over a contested Andrei Stojakovic shot. The ones in transition, that's just being negligent on our part. So, but yeah, we've got to get back to details. We've got to get back to doing a much better job of what our fundamental base is, and we've spent a good amount of time doing that.
What does this week look like in terms of getting back to those fundamentals and the time?
A lot of hard practice, a lot of practice time, finding guys that will pay attention to those details. And the problem we have is it's not been at the start of practice. It's not been the first 4 or 5 possessions of it. It's when you get possession 20 or you get possession 7, and you get a little bit fatigued or you get a little bit tired, or and I've got to probably go into our bench more. I've said it all along. I haven't thought we were in great shape, conditioning wise. We've been working on that, and that shows more mentally than physically. And so we've got to dial that stuff up and be very conscious. We've got to be tougher. I think we've to play through fatigue takes toughness, mental toughness, and I think we've got to be all of those things.
Coach, you added a third in the roster, a practice player now. Can you just tell us how that relationship was established and how that kind of went down?
Yeah, and Jeff have known of Tony, and it's an opportunity for him to come in here and not have any pressure of having to play. Very, very skilled downhill player, great size. He fits what we're looking for in terms of the positional size. I love his IQ and his feel. His extremely competitive, and plays really hard. And now he can get with Fletch and get in the weight room. He's got tremendous perimeter skills. He sees the floor. He's a passer. He's got a lot of ability to make plays for others as well as himself, and just needs strength. And this will give him a great opportunity to do that.
When will he join you?
Don't know. It's all about getting I-20s issued and visas, and he has been admitted. We're just waiting on I-20s to be issued. It gets a little challenging around the holidays, so we hope as soon as possible. But right now, I don't have a date on that.
Was filling that last roster spot always something you thought you'd do at this point of the season, or did it just come together?
No, it was always a possibility, but we weren't going to feel like we were wasting it. We were going to make sure it was a guy that had a situation like Tony's, where he could come in and get better and redshirt, or a guy that was out there that could maybe come in now and help us if that was the case. But it was never. It had to be the right fit, and this was.
It seems like Brandon is a guy that you've talked about with that toughness, with some of that defensive bite. Is he someone you could look to explore more minutes for as you try to find some of that?
Yeah, and I think it's been everybody. I've been, I was pretty excited about Jason Jaxtis, and then he gets concussed and has to miss a couple of games. And every single day I look at our rebounding stats and our deflections, and he leads us. And he does everything right. Brandon's, obviously did a lot of really good things early. We hit a stretch because of his ankle injury where he missed, a few weeks. And, Mihail's been better in practice, but I think all those guys have opportunities to step in and contribute.
You mentioned this team benefits maybe from these longer stretches of practice when we had one for Tennessee. This is maybe the last one of these you'll get, though, for the season. Like, what needs to carry over into those maybe shorter practice trips?
Yeah, and it's a little bit different now that we get into the Christmas practices, and we don't have the academic stuff to hinder us as much, where we can come back multiple times if we need to. We can break it up. We can be much more specific, have an offensive practice, a defensive practice. If we go multiple days, that's the stuff that helps as well. But we've been playing guys, and I'm not trying to make an excuse. We've been playing guys into shape, and these long practices give us an opportunity to really work on that stuff. We've got to carry it over. I mean, it's stuff we were doing the first 2 or 3 weeks. We went back and we touched on that this week. This is some of our fundamental stuff, and Andre and Mihailo and some of those guys, Tommy, those guys weren't around for all that. And it's just reaffirming what we're doing. We call it our daily vitamins, making sure we're good at what we're supposed to be good at, and we've touched on that this week.
Where is Tommy at in the conditioning, playing back into shape, and what more do you want to see from him as he continues more minutes on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's playing himself back into good shape, and again, I think it's not that we're, I always look at his jump shots. When his jump shots are short, he's tired, and he's getting fatigued and playing through that, and I don't make light of the fact that he's he had a pretty significant time off, and bigger guys, it takes longer. And great conditioning isn't how long you can play; it's how quickly can you recover. And we've got some help for him. He doesn't have to go take on that burden all himself, but he's made huge strides.
You mentioned your number 3, Ken Palm, on offensive efficiency. Can you remember having a team that has this much scoring versatility before?
2 years ago, we were 1 going into the UConn game. My Oklahoma State team was number 1. I think set all kinds of records. I've had good offensive teams. Offense is easy. This group has 2-3 more steps to go. We're not good enough on the offensive glass yet. We're not drawing enough fouls. I think we've got different pieces that we can get going in different ways. But I think that Keaton, Merck, they're going to keep elevating as just young freshmen that are constant and doing great things for us as playmakers. I think we're starting to see Jake and Ben settle into roles. And I think once we get Mihailo and Brandon and Big Z has been phenomenal at times. So I think that we've got a few more steps to go. I don't think we're close, but the offensive rebounding thing has got to be a huge emphasis for us. We've got to do a better job. Our front court has been below average in offensive rebounding, and we've got to get better in that area.
That's been something you've talked about for a while now, is offensive rebounding. Do you feel like you're getting anywhere closer to that message resonating where it needs to be?
Yeah, I hope so. If we want to win at the level that I want to win at, we better. The problem is it's creating habits, and it's different when you're we're the king of laying on backs, and we're not giving a second and third effort, mostly because of conditioning. We just give in. We just lay on a back instead of making a second, third effort to spin off of it and move a defender so that now Andre Stojakovic or Kylan Boswell go in and clean up a rebound. That's not what we're doing. And some of it's habit in creating those habits. Merck is a guy that, is a great example. He has not done offensive rebounding like we're asking him to in his past. He's great at it when he does it. Tommy and Z pop a lot, so they're coming from the perimeter. We've got to get them better at it, and so it's a great thing that Jason Jackson does. He's quick, he's elite at it. Ben and Jake are good. We've got to get Andre doing it. He's buying into that. So it's a combination of everything, and we're emphasizing it. We're demanding it, and it's for us to get where we want to go. And be as efficient on the offensive end as I think we can be. That's a big piece of it.
What are you looking for from Mihailo to maybe find a consistent role?
Yeah, I think it's just comfort with what we're doing. I think and that's easy to say when you're a point guard. It's not that easy. He's been a ball dominant point guard his whole life. He's seeing different coverages. They don't see near as much drop in Europe as they see here. I think that he's a guy that sometimes is learning to play off 2 feet, learning to what we call a Nash dribble out of trouble, not get swallowed up. It's not always about scoring; it's about elevating others. He's been very good at that at times, and that's something that he's instinctive. He makes the right reads, but. I'm loving his consistency and his work ethic on the defensive side. I think he's getting very dialed in there, and I think he's a great anticipator, and he's getting better in ball screen coverage. So just excited for him. He's had a good week.
Seems like every year, no matter who the players are, this game kind of turns into a street fight, a type of game. A lot of fouls called last year. Is that something you prepare these guys for in practice, the physicality of this game?
Yeah, Mizzou does a great job of that. They're downhill. That's the way they want to play, is getting in the paint, and you've got to do the little things. They're a great offensive rebounding team. They crash, so there's always going to be body on body when that happens, and you've got to prepare for that. Very much like a Tennessee game, very much like games that we've had with Texas Tech. The things that they're gonna do. They're gonna become physical, or Florida scrimmage. So yeah, it's not that we haven't seen it before. We have, and we've just got to know that there's gonna be bodies colliding.
Go ahead, Mike.
You've tapped into the Euro pro market a lot, but now you see a lot of like G League pros coming back to college. Is that something you would ever look into or pursue that avenue?
Yeah, I don't like it very much. That's my personal preference, personal opinion. I think it's wrong. I think those young guys had I get it. They're going to compare us. They're going to use us as an example in most cases to, well, you've got European guys that have played professionally. They didn't have any choice over there. These kids had a choice: go to college or go play professional, and I don't like that. I think that's wrong. But if the rules are such that we can take them and continue to take them, we would always look at that opportunity. But I'm very much in favor of 18-year-olds, high school kids having a great opportunity to play and not being out there against older guys who have played against professional athletes because of their choosing, and that's something we've got to probably fix in our big scheme of things.
You talked about Merck's focus on Saturday after the game. With him, how do you kind of refocus him in the course of a game? Like, what, just specifically with his personality?
Yeah, I got to do a better job with that. And he's too valuable to us to not have in the game. And his rebounding, his versatility. It's not just, he can't just be when he's making baskets. He's got to know that teams are scheming him. He's got to understand the growth of being pretty high on the scouting report, and just doing all the other things. And I've got to continue to help him in those areas and play through that. And I got to show much more trust in him in those scenarios that he can snap back out of it and play. And it's not just making a shot. It's the next thing.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thank you.